Hi, welcome to It's Show Business. I'm your host, Latif Tayour. This week we have Chris Fairbanks on the podcast. He's a super funny comedian from Montana, has an amazing special out now on Vimeo. Please check it out. It's called Rescue Cactus, and enjoy our interview. Now we're rocking. Well, Chris Fairbanks, man, thanks for doing the podcast.
Sure.
Look at me, like I copied your mustache and you copied my hair.
Yeah, for a while I was copying a lot of hair, but now I think I'm in a league of my own where I can only be compared to a mountain man, some kind of a Unabomber type.
It suits you. Looks good.
A guy that gets too close to grizzlies as a hobby.
Right.
That's the kind of hair I got.
Yeah, I was listening to your Mark Maron podcast and you talking about the mustache. People listen to you more. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get the mustache for this episode and see how it works.
Yeah, he knows that. He's had mustaches. He was being coy about that. Everyone wants to be Wyatt Earp or Al Swearingen.
Yeah, I think my wife is going to hate it when she gets home, but I'll enjoy it for like an hour or two.
Yeah, it really splits a room with women. You're either, it's either. I think it all boils down to whether or not someone's dad had a mustache. Then they like it.
Oh,
in my small surveys I've done, it's all dependent on if someone's like, "Wow, I like your mustache." I'm like, "Did your dad have one?" Yeah, that's the diagram.
Yeah, my dad can't grow facial hair, so I've never been into beards or mustaches.
Yeah, it only comes in here and a little on the chin, but here.
Yeah. You're looking smooth over there.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah.
I've been shaving, but if I were to grow it all out, it'd just be a gross like goatee.
Yeah.
With a bald spot in different varying places. Facial alopecia.
Nice. I almost have it, but it's starting to get gray here, and I don't know. It is one of those things, like as a comedian or someone on stage, you have to think about like, this is what people are going to think of me, and like it's part of like your persona and your whole stage thing.
Totally. And in all seriousness, that it did help with, since the beginning when I first started with improv, I thought having a loose, panicked, almost improvised stand-up act where I'm self-doubting, like going back on things I've said and commenting on them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would work. Other times it would look like I was ill-prepared or nervous, even though I was manufacturing it after a while. I used to drink a bunch of coffee to get nervous, so I'd have that energy.
Right.
And now in comedy, people want this thing called confidence, and it's so bordering on cockiness. But
do you think that like that nervousness is a form of confidence, though?
Yeah, because I was in control of it. But if it's an off night, it can work against me.
Yeah.
If you look like you might work for the city as a sheriff, the county rather.
Yeah, the county.
City cops. Yeah, let's talk about municipal stuff.
That really gets them.
Yeah, it gets the viewers. That people like when I noticed it working. I was in like Indiana at a club called Crackers, and I think named after half the audience. And it was people were listening to me, and I'm like, oh, I think it's the Stan mustache and sweater, so that's like what I wore on Conan because I'm nervous about Conan. I'm like, well, I better look like a guy that knows how to hop on a horse. I don't know.
And here you've been. And have you ever gone a few years without it, or you just been solid mustache ever since?
And that I have to work a little harder. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
I just watched your special. It's so good. It was one of my favorite ones of the year. It was really awesome.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
I like the intro and the music. It was just so well done.
I had been describing that intro as a joke.
Yeah.
Like, don't steal this idea, but what if there was a guy who gets mugged, like just going through, and then at the very end, free karate lesson, kick in the face, a leg comes out of a bush.
Yeah.
And would laugh at just describing it. So I knew I had done the pre-production work and running it by people, audiences.
Yeah, and it wasn't too long. It was like, you know, different from just starting your special, not this drawn out thing. And for a second, I was like, wow, he got Post Malone to stand on a milk crate. That's pretty amazing. And then I was like, or it's Lachlan Patterson. I can't tell. And then I looked at the credits and I was like, yep.
Yeah, he looks scary with some 666 on his forehead.
Kind of suits him.
Yeah, it was just a temporary tattoo kit.
Yeah.
Like for faces.
I was talking about that with a buddy of mine the other day. Like, why aren't there like 5-year tattoos? Like, why does it have to be this permanent thing? Like, you can just tat up for like 5 years and then someone lasers it off with this magical pen. It's like $1 million idea.
It really is. Where it would be great if one day it just was gone.
Yeah. Or then I guess the company could one day be like, yeah, it's double the price now to erase it and you just got to pay.
Right. And then they shine some specialized infrared light over it and it disappears.
Yeah.
You know that technology is out there.
It has to.
Why have they not taken it to the tattoo industry?
And then you'd have every single person like sleeved out, tatted up, barbed wire, whatever.
Yeah, that's why they don't.
Yeah. It's for society's benefit.
Yeah, you got to commit. Yeah, everyone.
Yeah. Or then the company goes out of business and you're like, oh, damn it, I can't get it removed.
Yeah. I think that they already have that technology in Portland.
Yeah.
Where even the assistant DA has law across his head, old English.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone has tattoos.
Law 416 or whatever Portland is.
Yeah.
But I guess that's part of tattoos. Like, it's the commitment to it is what makes it kind of sexy.
Yeah. One of the only tattoos I have on my ankle here, I don't know if you can see it, it's like a Band-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
I was just interviewing at some tattoo festival and I had sleeved my arms in it's been a long time with Sharpie marker. So it looked real enough at first.
Yeah.
I was showing it to people and I set up the only temporary tattoo booth. And I was drawing on people that would stop only because there's a camera set up.
Yeah.
But most people accused me of being cowardly. Yeah.
Yeah.
The lack of commitment was offensive to a lot of those.
Right. There'd be like a huge backlash because you're not really in it. You're kind of a poser.
But I get all the credit.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one like that.
Right.
Maybe that. Yeah.
It's like the guy who buys the skateboard and it's like brand new. It's never been, trucks are clean, no nose slides, nothing. And you're like, you don't like that guy instantly. It could be like, he could be coming from the shop. You're like, you better start doing some tricks.
Oh yeah. When I first started skating in like 1989, I totally scraped my shoes against the curb. I put marks on my trucks.
Yeah.
Even though my friends would know.
Yeah.
Just so I didn't look like a poser around the older kids.
Right. Yeah. I started in 93 and I remember I saw this guy on the bus and I was like, where'd you get your skateboard? I want one. He's like, I'll sell it to you. So he sold it to me for $60 and it was like, it had slick. It was a slick deck.
Yeah.
And it was so good to start in a slick because I could like nose slide kind of easier and stuff like that. And
yeah, they're making those again and they are better. They used to delaminate and that's like would off once it got thick.
Oh yeah, like one day of skating is done.
Yeah. Santa Cruz figured it out. They make them again and I had one last year. I loved it.
Oh, nice. I'm going to pick one up.
Yeah, you should. Santa Cruz makes, and the only difference is you can kind of tell it's thicker. It's like an 1/8 ply.
Right. Well, that was the trade-off, like the weight, the slick. They were like, oh, the slicks are heavy. You don't want that. Yeah.
Right now I have rails though, because I do like to, without those things, you have to go so fast.
You got to go fast or you got to carry wax everywhere and destroy people's curves.
Ruin your pants. Yeah.
Yeah. My buddy was trying to text me yesterday. He found this guy on Craigslist with a quarter pipe and he's like, let me buy it and bring it over and we'll build it. And I have 2 kids, so I was like, oh, it's just gonna be. I could see them just smashing their faces and having to take them to the hospital and COVID. They're too young. They're 5 and 8, so it's like a little young for like doing a quarter pipe.
Yeah, yeah. The COVID thing is kind of I think normally it's a good experience for a kid to have to go to a hospital, but yeah, you don't want that to happen. But every time I used to break my ankles all the time, and my mom would have to pay for a cast. I feel bad now, but when I would come back from it, I would have more confidence.
Mhm.
I would want to make up for the lost time while being injured, and I would excel at skateboarding, which makes you have a better personality, I think.
Mm. Maybe that'll happen with stand-up now with COVID. Like, come back, want to make up for lost time, more confidence.
Yeah, I really think it will, and it'll weed out some of these fringe comics that were only doing it as a hobby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, or there will be less comedians, I think. There's so many now.
Yeah.
When I first started, that everything is less attainable because it's such a huge pool. And what if we just shaved off a few? Not with COVID deaths.
Right.
The lack of it, like, oh, I changed my career during the pandemic, and that's going well. I guess I want. And then, it'd be easier to get up at open mics. I don't know.
Yeah, I think people are going to reevaluate, and they might discover a different side of them they like, and they're like, "Oh, I like doing this, or I like having a family."
Maybe that's what I mean. But at the end of this, there's going to be a lot more television writers.
Yeah, or maybe also the industry will probably like push people less to be like, "You should try stand up," you know, like, and then because that's just not an option.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, you should try podcasting. Have you thought about streaming on Twitch? Like, it's going to be pushing things you can do at home.
One time I I was featuring at the Brea Improv for this guy, John LaJoie, who was Canadian, and he had some viral YouTube. It was one of the first huge YouTube guys that was he did like rap songs as a ordinary white guy or whatever. They're funny though. I watched a lot of his videos and they're great. And he was headlining that improv, and it was his 7th time on stage. And his manager said, "Hey, you moved to LA, you should start doing stand-up." And he was actually pretty good. He would transition into showing a video, and then he'd do a live version of one of his videos, and then peppered throughout was 10 minutes of jokes or whatever. And I was actually like, I can't believe that's this guy's 7th time on stage. And then he was on that show, The League.
Okay.
And like, it's one of those cases where someone moves to LA and within 6 months they have this giant career.
Yeah.
Like Adam Devine or someone. It's like, wow, good job.
It does still happen. It happens just enough to keep the myth alive, you know?
Yeah.
To keep the bus tickets coming in.
Yeah. You got getting off that bus with a guitar over your shoulder to chase your dreams, like in the Sweet Child of Mine video.
Yeah. It's like Greyhound has a corporate meeting. They're like, bus tickets are low. What do we do? All right, LA, we need to find a star. Hurry, stat.
Yeah. What if it was just, Greyhound working with the entertainment industry? That's the secret.
Right. Meanwhile, it just increases homelessness.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, my neighborhood now, not to be serious, but yeah, it is insane. You know, there's already homeless folks staying in like Echo Park around the lake. But now there's people that are like, you go through and they're playing guitar and they have kind of new shoes on, and they literally had an apartment a few months ago and now they don't, and they're in a tent.
Wow.
And it's like, and sometimes you can tell it's like someone that moved here to chase their dreams, and it was bad timing because of this virus. It's insane. Yeah. I've been.
Yeah, you don't realize, like, I mean, I didn't move here with much, and a lot of people just move here with just like a little bit of money, and I could just not work out, you know?
Yeah. I came here with less than I think I had like $500. Moved to LA I'm in Montana right now.
Yeah.
I moved to LA with the amount of money you would need to move to Montana, I guess.
But it worked out. I mean, you made it happen.
Yeah.
And also things are so much more expensive now. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, this was 2003. I moved to Los Angeles.
But do you think it's changed now? Because like if you're interested in comedy or LA or acting and you have a creative ability, do you need to move now? Because like we're all spread out. We can just do it from our different places. I mean, Rogan's left, like people are leaving. Do you think it's still the center, like it's still a requirement to be here?
Yeah, there's certainly less of a requirement now that so much can be just done online, depending on what you want to do, like podcasts and everything. You can do that from anywhere. And even after you have a career going, you can fly from anywhere and be a road comic. But I never wanted that necessarily. I kind of do now that I like doing stand-up more than ever now that it's not something you can do. Perfect timing. But I moved to LA because I wanted to also maybe act in commercials. That was sort of I heard that you could make a living doing that or voiceover or.
And you can have your home setup and just do the voices from home. Like you plug in and they just video you in and be like, all right, hit it again. Go, let's go. Done. Yeah,
what a gig. That was the best. Kyle Kinane, no one really knew he was doing it, but he was the voice on Comedy Central for a long time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he would just be on the road, and he had this foam box that he'd put a microphone in his hotel, wherever he was.
Yeah.
And, get however $100 a minute for each spot. Or I don't think it was outrageous money, but it was pretty good.
It's enough for like click done.
Yeah.
Or for another like what, they need another coming up next? All right.
With slightly different, like coming next, and then, but with this show, you probably do 8 of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I guess for your pod, it makes it like, do you need a ride? Is it harder now, or do you have to slightly adjust the concept? Because I noticed on the last few episodes, there's no guest to pick up.
Right. Yeah. Well, that was already happening because Karen's My Favorite Murder podcast is so big that people are listening just to hear her talk. And a lot of times we'd have a great guest and they would say, there was a lot of comments that were like, I like it when it's just the two of you. Yeah. And then I only had to hear a handful of those. And I'm like, let's just do it together because it's easier than trying to get someone and pick them up.
Right.
But yeah, it's been a lot easier now that we're just Zooming.
And it's also it kind of interview podcast is good if they're like the guest, but then the episodes are guest dependent. But when it's just you and her, you guys gain fans and people who care about you guys, which in a way is more valuable.
Yeah, I noticed there were other podcasts where it's just two people always talking. Usually they have a subject or something. But yeah, ours is just the two of us riffing, and it's been fun and a lot easier than in the beginning where we were waking up at 4 a.m. to take someone to LAX. And so everyone's tired and the guest is worried about making their flight. I think from now on, if we do airport pickups, which was the original, mission statement that we take people to or from the airport and record in the car. We will do pickups and we will do them from Burbank. That's the easy one.
Oh, yeah. Burbank is key.
LAX in the last couple of years, just with shared ride, it's a nightmare to get in there and time it with someone's arrival. It just became stressful. And so each episode started with me like, come on, get out of the way, like yelling at cars. You dumb bus. Like I seem a lot more Irie now that we just do it from a neighborhood in Glendale. What if we drive you around the block in your neighborhood? Easy. No one cares.
Have you ever had to fake an airport ride?
Yes, we have. I'm not, I think that, or we've recorded it and then I'm not really getting dropped off. I have a couple hours and then I pack and then I actually leave. I think we have faked it. Yeah.
Nice. So sometimes what I do with the guests is I Google their name to see if there's another person. Do you know any other Chris Fairbanks?
There is, for a long time, I wanted, and I was pitching this. Some guy at 3Ball, they make like reality TV. He wanted me to pitch some shows. And so one that I threw together was called The Chris Fairbanks Show, where me and another Christopher Fairbanks, who lives in LA, who's an actor and used to do stand-up. And I was thinking this Chris Fairbanks that's a bodybuilder. He's like a professional bodybuilder. And then there's another Chris Fairbanks that was a fireman in like Ohio.
Yeah.
All of us lived together in a house. Two comics kind of in the same industry, and then a fireman and a bodybuilder. Yeah. And then we're all just named Chris Fairbanks. That's the only. So it's called The Chris Fairbanks Show.
You already had that idea?
Yeah, it's a great idea. It never got scooped up. They're like, I think they would say, yeah, but none of you Chris Fairbankses are famous. It's like, well, yeah, big deal.
That's the point.
Yeah. We would be after this. Come on, let's make a fireman famous.
Here's the Chris Fairbanks that I found, and I had to go to LinkedIn to find some, because you're like the first 7 pages. There's a paralegal.
Oh, okay.
There's a foreman, a stalker at Disneyland, and a vice president of engineering.
Wow. Yeah, you went deep.
Yeah.
I have a couple of Chris Fairbanks that's the only reason they're my friends on Instagram or Facebook. And we even, hey, I wonder if we're related. Probably, because most Fairbankses are. I mean, there's one guy named Fairbanks that immigrated to Minnesota, I think.
Have you done the genealogy or the family tree?
I just know that I am all the way, disappointingly white. We're very English. So yeah, there's an actor named Chris Fairbank. I guess the S is kind of a American thing to add that S.
Yeah.
English name is Fairbank.
Right.
So I guess I'm related to those people too. But Chris Fairbank was in like Fifth Element and I think even Batman. He's in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
He's like, bad guy in Batman. I think he maybe killed Batman's parents. I'm not sure. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah. Or there's already a Chris Fairbank in the Screen Actors Guild to like agents like add an S.
That's how I had the idea for the Chris Fairbanks show. Is when I moved to LA, this guy Christopher Fairbanks showed up at M-Bar.
Yeah.
Back doing Comedy Death Ray, the pre-Comedy Bang Bang guys. And he was like, we have a problem. We have the same name, and both of us have been on Comedy Central.
Yeah.
But he was, a little older than me and tall and bald. Like we visually confused for each other.
Yeah.
But that is when even when I was toying with the idea of going by Christopher, I was like, well, I'll go by Chris. You keep going by Christopher. And it hasn't been a problem. So far, I haven't gotten any of his credits or vice versa.
No, never like his bald face on your flyer?
No, never anything like that. Yeah. I thought maybe we both were concerned, and I didn't know that was a concern. I didn't even know what IMDb was when I moved to LA.
Right. Nor should you.
No.
I remember maybe like a year or two ago, we were at the Virgil. You know that one show where it's mostly comedians and it's kind of like a workout room. I think it's on a Monday. And I just remember watching it and like everyone's kind of bombing, and then you go up and you just totally kill in the room full of comedians. Like, are you aware that like that's the effect you have, that like other comedians like love to watch you?
Thanks. Yeah, I always did want to make the back of the room laugh. Yeah. I always wanted to be, you hear that phrase, a comic's comic. I don't know what that means, but
yeah,
that always was my goal, is to make those guys laugh and be accepted. Or especially when I first started.
Right.
But it kind of stuck. But it is important to make the general public laugh. Like I would go on the road and all of a sudden it's mostly dads on a date with their wife. And it's like, wait, these tongue-in-cheek jokes aren't working as well in the middle of Ohio or wherever I first would go. Yeah.
Right. Like you want to get the whole room but there's something nice to be like, oh, like, look, the comics are coming to watch you when you do your set.
Yeah, I do. I have always appreciated that. Yeah.
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 With your special Rescue Cactus, like what made you choose Vimeo as like the platform to release it on?
Well, it was the freedom of doing what I wanted, including that intro. I just really that was the first thing I wanted to do, is have that intro.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then I'll do whatever jokes I do. Like, that was the afterthought. I really wanted to do that intro. And honestly, the doing my own special was sort of, I think, initially my tax guy's idea, because when my mom passed, there was a little bit of money that we were using to pay for her care at this Alzheimer's facility. And then and that's what I mentioned at the end of the special, in a way that I was not expecting for it to come out.
It was emotional. Like I got teary, I'm gonna be honest.
That was up, and I was just saying that to the audience to thank her for, giving me that little bit of money. But my tax guy was like, when I had it, I'm like, I've never had more than $4,000 before. Should I invest it? My sister was telling me I needed to do something with it other than just put it in savings. And then he said, the best thing you can do is invest in yourself somehow. And around that time, my friend Whitey McConaughey, who's a director who I'd known from snowboarding, and he used to make snowboard videos and then music videos, and we were doing some comedy videos together. Around that time, he pitched the idea of, let's just shoot a comedy special, because he had connections in Portland where we could do it affordably.
Right.
And the freedom of being able to do exactly what I wanted and not answering to anyone is kind of what everyone wants.
That's the dream.
Yeah. So of course you're forfeiting the everyone, of course, would want it to be on Netflix. And I thought, well, let's worry about that later. And I just wanted people to see it after it was made. You know?
Well, I mean, so many great specials are direct to the people, like you, Sam Morril, Mark Normand, like Joe List, all these ones coming out this year. It's like, I made this great thing and I'm going to put it out to the people.
Yeah. It's just telling someone that you can still watch the internet on your TV. That's the thing that you have to just get through to people. Like,
right, yeah. You don't have
to watch it on your phone.
Yeah.
Just advertising it on my phone. But you can go to the website on TVs now.
Yeah.
Unless TV isn't smart. I don't want to accuse anyone of having a dumb TV. You have to have a smart TV.
Yeah, and I think people, this quarantine has made people more technologically savvy, because they're like, all right, well, I got to figure out what to do. And like, I got to everything's going up. Netflix subscriptions are up, other subscriptions. You got to figure out the tech behind it. And so people are figuring out YouTube and YouTube TV and all that.
Yeah. Or the timing that they accidentally fell on with Zoom. I don't think Zoom could have predicted that they would be sponsoring this pandemic.
I know, right?
Every comedy show. And when you're doing them, it's of course not fun to not hear an audience, usually always awkward, but people tune in. There's hundreds of people watching some of those shows, and I didn't expect that. So yeah, it's people otherwise not interested in watching stand-up comedy in their house.
Right. Or they can't. Like, hey, I've always wanted to watch a show with these guys in LA. I live in Montana or somewhere else. I can tune in now.
Yeah, it's also kind of cool to do these shows where you're just on the bill with comics in other cities.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. If they could just figure out having an audience in there also. I've done a few shows where there's designated laughers, people that have been to that. If it's a show that happens in a city and they have regulars, they'll trust them to be in the room with you.
Yeah.
So rather than just the 7 comics in those squares, there's just a random person in a blanket with her dog, and she's just laughing. She's there to laugh, but it helps so much if you can just hear 12 people responding.
Right.
Those have been the Zoom shows I've enjoyed. But
that's a new industry, designated laugher.
Yeah, designated laughers. They should have those in comedy clubs too, actually. That could have helped me in the last 20 years.
I think
paid like,
that was like there was some sitcom where like someone got caught for being a designated laughter.
oh, really?
Yeah, and they're like, it was Curb Your Enthusiasm. Oh no, she was a designated crier
Oh, okay.
on the last season. Yeah, that was it. And then she gets caught. And then this other production like hires her to like, they're like, oh, you heard about this girl? You can hire her. She can go in the audience and cry to get like reaction. And she goes and they pay her all this money to keep going to these shows.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
God, I always hear storylines from Curb that make me realize I should be watching that show.
Is writing something you're interested in doing? Like writing for sitcoms or something you've already done?
Yeah, I've had writing jobs before, and the whole time I was just like, man, I wish I wasn't busy every day. I miss doing stand-up.
Right.
It kind of helped me realize I do like performing more than anything. Because I don't think anyone that watches my stand-up would accuse me of being a writer, you know. It's performance-based, you know. I've always struggled with the whole joke writing thing, but
I would say as an observer, you have both sides because you're performing the jokes really well, but they are, you know, there are the twists written and there are the elements that I look at you and I'm like, that guy's a good writer.
oh, thanks. Yeah, sometimes I hear that and I'm like, really? Oh, thanks. It's what I hear the least.
It probably comes easy to you, so you probably like dismiss it.
Man, thank you, but man, especially after doing that special, I feel like I've spent all my material now. Time to start over, and I had a hard time after we recorded that thing. I had a really hard time getting back on stage and feeling good because there's all the pressure to like, okay, time to come up with new material, and I'm like, I think I've talked about everything that I care about, but of course, true. You just have to be inspired to write. It's always been hard for me to sit down and literally sit and write. I never would. I'm like, have an idea and I'll based on a tweet or something and then write it on stage.
Yeah.
Talking it through, you know?
Yeah. And so now which she can't do.
Yeah. So yeah, everyone thought during this time off, they'd be writing a screenplay or just tons of jokes. And it's kind of hard if you don't have the performance, you can't test them out.
Right.
It's pretty hard to just stockpile a bunch of jokes. I haven't been. Maybe some people are.
Yeah.
But
I try to write every day, but it's also like, I can only take it so far. I'm like, all right, this is about as far as I want to take it before at least throwing it out there.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll get like a few lines. I'm like, okay, that'll probably work. And then, or not work. Let's find out. But now you can't find out. So now I'm just like, I have this like file folder with just stuff I'll try in 2022 or whatever. Like whenever we get back.
Realistically, 2022. Thank God for cameos. I've been doing these cameos.
Oh yeah. I just had the last guest, Matt O'Brien, was talking about Cameo as well.
It's fun. Yeah. And another, just like my tax guy was pitching the idea of doing my own, investing in my own special. A friend of mine works at RAM mounts. They make cell phone like mounts in cars, those suction cup ones, but really good quality ones.
Yeah.
He was like, you should do these for your cameos. And then it's like a mini Do You Need a Ride episode. I'm like, oh, that's a really good idea. And so I've been doing that.
Oh yeah. Cause it's like a personalized Do You Need a Ride?
Yeah. I mean, I ran out of time doing them. So I did a few on the road coming to Montana. Yeah. But it wasn't until she said, what if you mount it in your car and you're driving and say, hey, welcome to Do You Need a Ride? Here's your cameo. It's like, oh man, it's like a mini personalized mini episode of the podcast for people. Yeah. So I've been really fun. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great platform. I was scrolling through it the other day and looking at all these people, like, you know, giving personalized messages and the access you can have to all these people. Like it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I love it. People really are appreciative. I didn't think I'd be getting so many requests. It's been something where I was like, oh, I'll do them every Friday, but they expire. The requests expire. Yeah, you only have a few days to do them. So sometimes I'm like, man, I have to work today. I have to do 10.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The pressure.
Yeah, it is.
This is a weird year to ask this question, but what are your goals for this year? Like coming out of this crazy quarantine and now your post special and a new year.
I don't know. And I think a lot of people don't. That's been the only oddly comforting thing that I didn't anticipate, is that a weight has been lifted where everyone's uncertain.
Yeah.
Any talk show you're doing, they're also doing basically a Zoom video in their kitchen with a cat behind them. You know, Stephen Colbert is even like, what am I doing at my house? And it's been,
I didn't get into this for this.
Yeah, nobody is thinking, oh man, I got to be doing this or this. We're all in the same boat right now. So, I don't know I just know that once you can safely go out there, I do want to just keep doing stand-up and keep building that podcast audience to go to my stand-up shows, because that's a new thing that you can't plan on. It's just kind of happening, and I want to keep those people around with the podcast, and then as soon as I can, go out and do stand-up for people that specifically want to see me, because for years I didn't have that.
Right.
So my goal is, to keep doing stand-up, and then everything else that comes along with that, little acting jobs and everything. I'm already doing what the goal is.
Yeah.
I just want to be bigger and more frequent and more consistent. And,
that was another interesting point you had on Marin's pod, where you were talking about how, like, because of the crossover with Karen and her pod, you're getting a lot of fans that just are excited to be in the room with you and just politely smile. I found that very interesting. Yeah,
the podcast fans. And it was interesting to hear that he dealt with the same thing once his podcast took off. He was like, but I've been doing stand-up for years. This is what I'm actually good at. Put all this, because a lot of people, maybe have, afterwards they say, this is my first time at a comedy show. I'm just a podcast fan.
Yeah. Because I guess if they're fans of other pods that are just podcasts, they sometimes probably go see those events live, which is mostly them just sitting.
Yeah.
And then maybe you're the first stand-up they've seen.
I got some warning of it when I would see Karen she was doing a show at the Improv for a while, and so all these murderinos would show up, and I saw them having the time of their lives silently.
Yeah.
Smiling politely. And I'm like, this is not necessarily a good audience, but you can tell they're 100% invested. So, maybe it's good practice for doing these shows online where there's no laughs.
Yeah.
Appreciating it because of comments and a ticker.
Right. You're like, oh yeah, I'm getting lots of smiley faces. This is going well.
Yeah, if you can just get that live. For people that don't laugh, they just hold up a smiley face sign, lower it. Oh, good. I got 7 lines on that one.
I guess you could think of it more like you're doing comic acting, like you're acting in a comic film in a way where you just have to hope there's laughs when it's on screen. Yeah,
or I just was treating those shows like I was doing a podcast, because you don't laughs on those either. So it's got to trust. Yeah.
I feel like I can only see your couch and you and a little bit of looks like horses, but I'm sure I'm totally wrong, but I feel like if you pan this way, it's just horses, cows, a huge mountain. Am I right? Like out the window?
Yeah.
Or are you like in the city?
No, look at it. Yeah,
I hope I see cows. Are there cows?
There is a lot of deer, but no cows.
Okay.
It is a city of whatever, 65,000. So,
but it's rustic.
Yeah, you can drive 10 minutes and see cows, or 5 minutes.
Is it your hometown? Like you're driving around, like, Chris, good to see you again.
If I was on foot going into buildings, yes, but not. Yeah, it's pretty much I've been staying at my dad's and meeting with friends or going camping, but I haven't been out in public much here.
Because you're the guy who made it, right? You're the guy who like moved to LA from Montana.
Maybe in the stand-up world, yeah. There's other Missoula people. I think Dana Carvey went to my high school.
Oh, wow.
There's some other people.
Yeah. Like from your friend group, they, you know, I'm sure they get around, have a beer, like, oh, Chris, he's doing well in LA, big star.
Reggie Watts is from Great Falls, Montana. And we do a show together here on Christmas or a few days before Christmas every year.
Yeah.
He definitely has a huge following here in Missoula.
Nice. And then we both know your manager, Jessica Kelly, great manager, great girl.
She is the best, yeah.
What do you feel that a manager brings you as a comedian in terms of augmenting what you can do in your career?
Yeah, it's just been great to have her speak on my behalf and be so, like, everyone likes her.
Yeah.
And I've had managers before that are, maybe they're bulldogs and they like produce big things, but they ignored me the whole time I was being managed by them, or you fall through the cracks at a bigger company. It's really great that she's really hands-on and kind of was learning to do, because when she first approached me, she didn't have any experience managing, but I knew she'd be good at it.
Yeah.
And it's been, the best management situation I've had so far.
Yeah, she's great. We worked in conjunction when Dynasty Typewriter was starting up together, and we've become friends since. And she's, I can tell she really cares about you and her other clients, and like it's a real priority, you know?
And rare.
Yeah.
Most people want that and don't get that from their manager. I rarely hear someone brag about how great their manager is. Most people are, even the higher up comedians will complain about their managers, but not people at Avail.
No one at Avail complains.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's great.
Yeah,
it is like it's nice to have someone advocating on your behalf. And like I've been in the business usually like on the business side for like a long time, and then when I started getting like, I had someone ask if I wanted a commercial agent. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll go up for some stuff. And they sent me a contract. And now I'm negotiating for myself as the talent also. And I'm like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
Like this isn't even big stakes. And I'm like, I hate this.
And I'm someone that got overwhelmed by it, and Jessica doesn't. Those kind of dealings excite her, and she wants to deal with them.
Yeah.
And that part of it's like math or something. It really stresses me out, and I don't want to deal. And it's been something that not having a manager for so many years there, there was some things I would get, but that it was kind of spinning my wheels and idling in a way that I didn't realize until Jessica came along. And it's like, oh, this is a lot easier to not have to deal with this stuff. Sometimes I feel bad, like, hey, will you deal with this for me, just simply because I know I can't?
But that's what they're there for.
More than half the time, though, it's something she doesn't stand to gain much. I'm like, I just want to earn her money at this point. Which is a good concern to have, I think.
Yeah, you want to have that like two-way relationship, like where it's like you're on this ride together.
Yeah, and if I'm trying to get her money, that means I'm also making money.
Yeah, exactly.
In the past, I was like, well, I don't know. If someone calls and it's a good job, I'll just wait for that. I didn't know how to go get things.
And sometimes also like they more than earn their fee. Like something comes in at like X and they're like, I think I can get you 2X, and they got you double, and then their fee comes out of that. But everyone wins. Like they get some money, you got more money than you would have had. And it's like, that's the fruitful kind of investment you guys are making in each other.
But a big thing was she got me that WTF. I wouldn't have gotten on that without her. And,
perfect. Yeah, exactly.
I would never have asked him.
Yeah.
But I don't know. She doesn't necessarily she didn't gain anything except it just helped pushing my career forward. Ultimately, one day.
Yeah. Because you do, I mean, Mark, but it's hard, Mark Maron, but I'm sure it's like, it's hard to be like, I don't want to bug him. Like, it's like, all those thoughts start going through your mind, like, oh, he's too busy. Like and you just, when they're your friend, you don't want to like, use your friendships in a way. It's like, I just want to be his friend still.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I found it even though like I actually enjoy the negotiating part of it, but when it's not about me, like the second it became about myself as more of an artist, I'm like, I collapsed. It was strange. I didn't think that was going to happen.
I've always been that way because before this, I was doing illustration work, art for other people. And I always enjoyed that. But making it for myself was always, for some reason, I had about. Like, I'll do someone else's album cover or T-shirt designs. But then when it's mine, I'm like, I don't know what. It's harder to think of ideas.
Yeah.
It's easy to get things for other people.
Did you draw do you need a ride? Is that you?
Yeah.
It's amazing. I love it.
Oh, thanks, man.
It kind of reminds me of like the Dookie Green Day kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That comes up more than I just did something for the Grolics, the guys in Denver that had those Who Can't show.
Yeah.
And very Dookie vibe. There's even a mushroom cloud at the top.
Okay.
And I did that totally accidentally.
Oh, no.
I was going to have airplanes flying around. I'm like, oh, that's way too Dookie.
Yeah.
I say that all the time. Too Dookie, not Dookie.
Yeah.
All of my... What would Green Day do?
Like with those drawings, like
a tattoo. What would Green Day do?
That'd be amazing. It's just Dookie explosion.
Yeah. It's a chest piece. Do you like that band? Not really. I just like the album cover.
Yeah.
I mean, I like.
Never seen it. Excuse me. Let me take off my shirt. But it is like that art's impressive because like where do you stop? Because the detail goes on and on and on, and then the freeway collapses, and there's this, and then there's that. Like you could just, I'm sure, keep adding.
I've always been that way with art. Like I'll get too detailed. I get further and further closer to the paper, and I'm like, well, maybe I can overwork things and make them too. Especially now that I'm drawing on an iPad, you zoom in and all of a sudden, you're like drawing a mustache on a guy in a car that ultimately is going to be
right. A little bubble. Help me.
Yeah. I can get overly detailed with drawings.
Yeah. I think the detail adds to like the art and the mystique, like that moment when you notice something, the care, you're like, wow, if I did zoom in, or if I look in this one corner, they took the time to do this little thing. It's kind of like Steve Jobs with his Macs, like they would make the inside of the computer beautiful for like no reason. Because that's what an artist does. Yeah.
It's I've always been interested in the small details. That's why I've been making dollhouses lately. I just like zooming in on things.
Oh, can you show me one?
I could not at my dad's. But
okay.
I can
they're back in LA, right.
Yeah.
That's
I've
awesome.
been getting into that. Yeah, I like little miniature things. I don't know. Not dolls. I haven't been playing with dolls. They are doll-less dollhouses. Just want to be clear. Be really creepy if I was like, how are you doing today, Susie? Fine. I'm going to the kitchen. I don't do any of that stuff.
Okay.
Just the construction of tiny books and things like that.
So it's a model more than a dollhouse.
Yeah. I'm a model maker.
Right. Scale models.
Yeah. It's like architecture.
Right.
Yeah. Everyone's into that. Even Brad Pitt.
Exactly. So no dolls, and you're just like focus. Are you painting? Like, are you designing it from scratch, like with wood?
They're kits.
Okay, it's a kit.
Started with, but it comes with very hard to read, like IKEA furniture directions, and you're making a little chair that big. Yeah. And you distress it and stain it. And I made a little ladder and put rub marks where the feet were. It's fun to like, you can modify them and add little details. Yeah. I'm really into it.
I used to do model cars, like we get the kit and you break out the plastic and you just paint them and you put them together.
Yeah. Same thing. Yeah. I used to do those and enter them in the fair.
Some of them I never finished because I would get so obsessed that I couldn't paint this like one piece perfect, and I would like just give up. Yeah.
They can. I was pretty stressed out during some of my dollhouse construction. Once you're wiring a tiny chandelier, getting adorable little electric shocks from a watch battery, it's like, okay, I got to get away from this thing. I'm getting cross-eyed. I'm getting a headache, wearing that. I wear these like thick reading glasses so I can like see what I'm doing.
You're like a dentist, like telescopic. You got.
Oh yeah, totally.
Is there really electricity? Like you weren't just making a joke?
Yeah, there's a tiny little battery in that, but it is 2 hot wires.
Yeah.
So touch them both on your finger. There's a little bit of shock, but nothing major.
You're just screaming, "God damn it!" And your neighbor's like, "Oh, he shocked himself again."
Yeah. Oh, my neighbor, I talk to myself all day. She must think I'm crazy with the cameos and just having no one else in my apartment watching movies, talking to my plants. I've been talking to myself a lot, so she probably wouldn't even notice.
Yeah. You probably could wire do real electricity work now. I mean, what's the difference? It's just bigger.
Yeah, I did. When I moved into my apartment, the light fixtures were from the 40s. And so I ordered some sconce lamps and light fixtures and just went on YouTube or called my dad.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, how do I wire this? The wiring is from the 40s.
Yeah.
Like I pulled these wires out and the insulation was fabric and the wires were made of aluminum, just 2 silver wires. That's not normal.
Right.
And pull them down and all the insulation would fall off. And all of a sudden it's exposed. It's kind of a fire hazard, I think.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw wiring like that on an episode of Forensic Files. And this lady, she went to prison for like starting a fire and her kids died in the fire and they thought she murdered her kids. But then a fire investigator figured out that it was the wiring and they showed the wires and it looked exactly like the wires in my apartment.
Wow.
Okay, duly noted. I'm hazard in the apartment. But
yeah.
But I don't have 8 kids, so I'm not worried.
Not that worried. Well, Chris, I really appreciate you doing the podcast, man. It was really fun talking with you. Can't wait to hang out when you come back.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait for a lot of things when we all come back.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's like we're all on this weird permanent vacation, but we're trying to get the most out of it. I definitely think you should watch Chris's special, Rescue Cactus. It's awesome. It's on Vimeo. You can rent or buy it. And where do people find you?
One of them is we'regnarly.com without the G.
Yeah.
That's where you can get posters and some other stuff. But I also got Chris Fairbanks comedy special.com and rescuecactus.com. They all go there. Just so whatever thing you can remember, or like you said, just Google Chris Fairbanks Vimeo and it'll come up.
Yeah, not the guy who stocks shelves at Disneyland, the other one. And,
although he's very funny.
He's
funny. He's very clever shelf stalker.
Yeah. That should be my podcast. I only interview people named Chris Fairbanks.
Yeah. Or yeah, that would be, that's a great
4 more episodes and we're done.
Yeah.
All right, get that call. Thanks for doing it. And we'll talk to you soon.